1970 Volkswagen Convertible, restoration number 2. Clip 22, trunk and tank painting, October 2011. By this point, many of the items in the trunk have already been removed, but I need to remove the remaining item in the trunk so the trunk can be cleaned, primed, and painted to match the car's new paint job. Remove the clamp to the cable that goes from the pocket to the trunk lock. Remove the hose to the windshield washer. A view of the fuse box at this point in time. Some of the wires have a quick disconnect in line, but they are not labeled on my wiring chart that I have, so I label them starting with A. The left wire is always the front of the car, and the right wire is the dash side. Quick disconnector B, quick disconnector C, quick disconnector D, quick disconnector E, quick disconnector F, quick disconnector G, quick disconnector Z. A view of the trunk at this point in time. The left side of the speedometer from the rear. The bottom side of the speedometer from the rear. Top side of the speedometer from the rear. Now you can remove the speedometer. The speedometer from the rear and a blow-up of the wiring diagram. Note the wiring diagram depicts K1 on the opposite side from the rear view of the speedometer. Likewise, K2, K5, and K3 may be reversed. Anyway, I have wires labeled the same way I took them off, so everything should be okay to replace them in the same order. Label all wires to the fuse block and remove the clip that holds the fuse block in place. Remove the fuse block. Remove the key warning buzzer H5. Clean up and label as shown. Remove the post that holds the dimmer relay. A view of the ground wires and screws that hold the speedometer in place. A view of the body ground wires. The wires are labeled left and right as shown. Remove the light switch. Remember, I labeled this wire in Chapter 9, Step 262. Remove the emergency flasher. Remember, I labeled this wire in Chapter 9, Step 259. Vacuum and clean up the trunk area. View of the trunk at this point in time. Work on this section 6 hours. Remove the screw to the parking and headlight ground on each side of the trunk in front of the gas tank. Depress the grommet with a screwdriver and push the parking light wire through the trunk and out of the fender well. Clean up the wires, label and store, and repeat for the opposite side. Depress the grommet with a screwdriver and push the headlight wire through the trunk, out of the fender well. Clean up the wire, label and store. Repeat for the opposite side. Parking light wire shown label. Locate the gas tank outside air vent line and pull up out of the body as shown. Trace the gas tank outside air vent or overflow line through the trunk area. Also trace the gas tank internal air vent line that follows a similar path. Continue tracing both of these lines for reference for installation later. Disconnect the gas tank internal air vent line connector at the tank filler tube. Disconnect the gas tank internal air vent line connector at the gas tank. Disconnect the large gas tank internal air vent line connector at the tank filler tube. Remove the fresh air vent hose for the right side and for the left side. Remove the spacer block for the pocket. Pry open the wire clip to the main wiring harness. Lift out the radio aerial. Push the accessory gauge wires into the car through the access hole. Locate the horn wire under the left front fender well. Slip the horn wire off the wire clip and push the horn wire through the fender well as shown. Pull the horn wire out through the trunk as shown. Follow the procedures in Chapter 5, Step 83 for removing the gas tank filler tube and gas tank. A view of the trunk at this point in time. Pry out the cable clip for the hood release cable as shown and move the pocket outside of the car. A view of the trunk at this point in time. Pry off the rubber grommet for the windshield washer tank. With a screwdriver, remove the gas tank lid opening from under the dash. Remember the handle was removed in Chapter 19, Step 600. A view of the gas tank lid opener from the trunk side. Vacuum the trunk interior, then wipe the trunk down with acetone and dry with a clean dry rag. Then sand the trunk interior with 120 grit, 220 grit sandpaper. Vacuum and sand again with 220 grit, then 320 grit sandpaper. With a sanding brush on electric drill, sand the odd areas. Vacuum or blow out the trunk. Wipe the trunk area with wax and grease remover, then wash the trunk down with Windex. Wipe the trunk down with a tack rag. Put a paint drop cloth over the entire body and cut out the trunk opening. Make sure all holes are sealed. Work on this section 6 hours. The trunk is now ready for painting. Vic Diabin spraying on the prime sealer. The prime sealer completed. Vic spraying on the finished top coat. Vic Diabin admiring another outstanding paint job. Top coat completed. Gas tank cleaned up and ready for painting. Vic Diabin spraying on the prime sealer. Prime sealer complete. The gas tank after the finished coat of DuPont Nason urethane black paint. It would mix the same ratio as the previous urethane clementine paint. Work on this section 6 hours. Work on this chapter 24 hours. Total hours to date 358. Stay tuned for progress reports.